Hey, good morning, everyone. How are you guys doing today? How are you guys doing today? Hey, this is Gregory Wiles coming live to you from Houston, Texas. So this inspirational morning talk, guys. This is just another one of those spontaneous talks. Something come up that I want to share. God put on my heart last night, and I just want to share this morning with you. Hope everyone is okay. And like I said, I'm going to try and find a day and a time to be more consistent. But as now, I can just gotta come on as I have the time and I get the word, and people can look back at the replays any time of the day that best suits them. But today, what I want is to share, and I know a lot of people may know this information, but other people at different stages of their journey, and this can be very, very helpful for a lot of people. And some people who know it is a good revision for them, right? I just want to understanding the gospel. I entitled this understanding the gospels, because a lot of time people say, "Oh, the Bible is so repetitive; it contradicts itself," and we got all of these notions, which is not true, right? But if you understand it, it can make more sense to you, and you would not, say that in many cases. For example, let's look at the four Gospels, right? Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. That's the four Gospels. So you might reading these and you're like, "Didn't I just read about this story? Didn't I just read about this story?" Yes, you did. You did. If you can read these books straight, you read about the story before. But it's not. Good morning, Tessa. Good morning. How are you doing this morning? Well, you read it before because these are four men that given the eyewitness accounts of Jesus' existence here, right? So that's what it is. They're giving the eyewitness accounts of Jesus' existence here. So you're going to read it again and again because the same thing is Jesus' life on earth they're reporting on. But the beauty about it is they give you different perspective of these same stories. So to understand them, you got to look at all of them and you can get a big picture, the best view of what really went on, right? It's just like if three people see an accident. Three people see an accident, but I'm sure if you interview those three people, each one of them might tell you something what the other one didn't say. So if you listen to all three of them, that's why in court you need more. The judge never accept one witness. Martel Holder, good morning, good morning. Pamela Fontanelli, good morning, guys. How are you guys doing? Yes, so that's why in court a judge would not accept just one person, one witness. You have to have two or more witnesses because different people are going to give you different perspective of this same thing that happened. Yes, we all saw this accident, but you might notice the man swerved to the left because a car was on the right, and next man might notice, oh, the man in front was on his phone while this happened, and different people are going to have different perspective of this same stuff. And that's what the gospel does. These four gospels is these four guys giving the different given what they remember and saw about Jesus' existence here, right? So when you're reading them to get an understanding of the story, you want to read all four of them, and it's going to give you a better understanding. For example, let's look at this story here. The Jesus raised a dead girl and healed a sick woman, right? Jesus raised a dead girl and healed a sick woman, right? We want to understand about this story here, right? Matthew is the first in order. Matthew give us his account for us. Because Matthew, Mark, then Luke, then John, right? So if you're reading the Bible in order, first you can come up to Matthew, right? So let's see what Matthew say about this story, and then we can look at what the others say about it and see if it can give you a better understanding of what went on there. Michelle Spark, good morning. So let's look at it. This is Matthew 9:18 through 26. Guys, we're trying to understand the gospel, how to really look at these gospels and get a better understanding of what went down, right? So let's look at Matthew 9:18 through 26. Matthew 9:18 through 26 talk about this story. Jesus raised this dead girl and healed a sick woman. Let's see what Matthew tell us about this, right? See, while he was saying this, a synagogue leader came and knelt before him and said, "My daughter has just died, but come and put your hands on her and she will live." Jesus got up and went with him and and so did his disciples. So Matthew here, if I read Matthew, I want to take a note. Matthew never did tell me anything about this guy with the synagogue leader name. So if I just read in Matthew, I wouldn't know the synagogue leader name. And the next thing I want you to take note of, this Matthew saying when the synagogue leader came to his, he said, my daughter's already dead. My daughter's already dead, right? So let's go on. Just then, a woman who has been subject to bleeding for 12 years came up behind him and touched the edge of his cloak. And she said to herself, if I can only touch his cloak, I will be healed. Jesus turned and saw her. He said, take heart, he said, your faith has healed you. And the woman was healed at that moment. So right away, this woman touched. So Matthew is just giving us the highlights. Boom. Matthew agreed that this girl was dead. Jesus raised the girl and this woman was healed, right? Let's see what we went on. Then when Jesus entered the synagogue leader's house and saw the noisy crowd, people playing pipes, he said, go away. The girl is not dead, but asleep. But they laughed at him. After the crowd had been put out, he went in and took the girl by the hand, and she got up. News of this spread through the whole region. So Matthew condensed this whole thing and just give us the high points. He said, the synagogue leader come. He said, my daughter is dead, right? Then you got to assume now, okay, so he probably when he was going, this woman touched his cloak. How this woman come into his? So if you just read Matthew, this story from Matthew, you're not getting the full picture. But you know Jesus raised a girl from the dead, and you know this woman was healed when she touched Jesus' cloak. Okay, I got that. So let me go now and look at it and see what Mark said about the same story. So if I can get a little bit more details to put with this story here. Now, if we look at Mark 5, this story is told in Mark 5:21 through 43. Mark 5:21 through 43. So let's look and see what Mark say about this story here now. Mark 5:21. So when here, take note, Matthew said when the synagogue leader come, he tell Jesus, my daughter is dead already, right? He didn't give us much details in this story. So let's see what Mark said about this story now. It's Matthew 5:21 through 46. So when Jesus had again crossed over by boat to the other side of the lake, so he giving us a little further up what happened now, right? Crossed over on the other side of the lake. The crowd gathered around him while he was by the lake. Then one of the synagogue leaders named Jairus. So now Mark give us the synagogue leader name. Matthew didn't, right? So I now know the synagogue leader name is Jairus, right? The synagogue leader named Jairus came, and when he saw Jesus, he knelt at his feet. He pleaded earnestly with him, my little girl is dying. So Matthew obviously get this story from a little further on when the girl already dead. But Mark said, I remember some more. I remember as soon as Jesus crossed over, I was there. Maybe Matthew didn't know all of this portion here, right? So he's telling my daughter is dying, right? So that's why people say the Bible is so confusing. No, it's not. Just understand how to get the best out of it and understand it, right? He knelt at his feet. He pleaded earnestly with him, my little daughter is dying. Please come and put your hands on her so that she will be healed and live. So Jesus went with him. So now we get so Jesus now going with this man to his house. Matthew didn't tell us all of this. So now Jesus going with this man. So let's see on the journey what happened when he was going. A large crowd followed and pressed around him. So now we know a lot of people around him now. And a woman was there who was being subject to bleeding for 12 years. Now we know how this woman come into play, right? There's a lot of people around him now. And she was with them, right? She suffered a great deal under the care of many doctors and has spent all she had, and yet instead of getting better, she grew worse. Okay, Mark, give us a little bit more. Matthew, and tell us, but this woman went to many doctors and spent all she had and still didn't get healed. Matthew just said she touched Jesus' cloak and was healed, and Jesus turned and said, your faith has healed you. Matthew, get straight to the point. That's all I remember. All the details don't matter to me. Only thing that mattered, this woman touched Jesus' cloak and she was healed. Mark saying, no, the details matter. I remember all of this stuff. He's a more detailed guy. I remember all of this stuff. Matthew saying, I just want to get to the point. The woman touched his cloak, she was healed. Jesus go and raise the girl. I'm done with that. But Mark saying, no, I can give you a little bit more. So now we learn this woman spent a lot of money on doctors and she still wasn't healed, right? So now, if doctors can't heal me, I just got to put my faith in Jesus right now, right? So when she heard about Jesus, she came up behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak because she thought, if I just touch his clothes, I will be healed. Immediately her bleeding stopped and she knelt in her, and she felt in her body she was freed from the suffering. So Mark, give us a little more details now. We'll go on in this story, right? Let's go on a little further. At once, Jesus realized that power had gone out of him. He turned around in the crowd and asked, who touched my clothes? Matthew didn't tell us all of this. He said, who touched my clothes, right? You see people crowded against you, his disciple answered, and yet you ask who touched me. So the disciple said, man, there's a lot of people around you. You mean who touched you, right? But Jesus kept looking around who had done it. Then the woman, knowing what had happened to her, came and fell at his feet, trembling with fear, told him the whole truth. So now Matthew didn't tell us all of this. So now Jesus looked around and said, who touched me? Someone touched me because I feel this power left me, right? And that's when Jesus tell her, when she confessed that she was the one that touched him, then Jesus told her, daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace and be free from your suffering. So now that so we get the same picture how Matthew arrived at this when Jesus tell her, your faith had healed you. Jesus asked, who touched me first? He didn't know. And then when she confessed, I will touch you. So let's go on a little bit more, because you remember when Matthew reported this, the man tell him his daughter is dead. So let's see this point now when the man get a message that the daughter is dead. So while Jesus was still speaking to this woman, telling her your faith had healed you, some people came from the house of Jairus, the synagogue leader. Your daughter is dead, they said. So I could conclude this is where Matthew know the story from. He just didn't choose to report on all the other that wasn't important to him. He just want to get to the point. Jesus raised a dead girl. So at this point here, now these men bring news and telling synagogue leader, look, your daughter is dead. Don't worry, trouble Jesus no more. Right? And overhearing this, Jesus said to him, don't be afraid, just believe. Don't be afraid, just believe, right? So now this is where Matthew decided this is more important, right? So he did not let anyone follow him except Peter, James, and John, and the brother of James. When they came to the home of the synagogue leader, Jesus saw a commotion. And now here you get a little bit more. So, and then if we could go on now and we could go to Luke. Luke can fill in some more gaps and tell us some little more things that these guys may not. So when we read all three of them together, we can understand fully about this same situation here where Jesus raises dead girl and heal a sick woman. So that's how I want you guys approach the Gospels. And so you can dismiss the myth and say, man, the Bible contradicting itself. How would say one thing here and then it's saying the next thing here? No, it's different people giving their perspective of this incident. And we need all of it because, like I said, three of us can look at an accident, four of us can look at see the same accident or see the same show. But when we're telling people about this show or what happened, different things stood out to us. Because how we think, how we were raised, our intellect, our experiences. So different things can stand out to us. I didn't see that. You see that? Oh yeah, you didn't see when the comedian did this and I know, because you just focus on the joke what the comedian said. You didn't see pick up a glass of water. You didn't see all of that. You didn't see when someone shouted something in the crowd to him will make you respond. Maybe you just coming back from the restroom and someone had tell him something and he was responding to that person, but you didn't hear what the person said because you just coming back from the restroom. So when you telling the story, you said the comedian said this, and the next person was there said, no, he said this because this person in the crowd said that to him. That's why he was responding to what a person said. But the comedian did said it, but so that's how these Gospels are. And that's why we need, when you're reading one of these stories, see what all three of them. And John might talk about some of them. John talked about a lot of different things that some of them didn't talk about, but some of the stories overlap. And if you see what all of them say about it, and you get a better understanding of that story. I just thought to share that, how to really understand these Gospels is these four guys who give us the eyewitness account of Jesus' existence here on earth. It's not that the Bible just repeating itself and contradicting itself. It's different people reporting on the same things. All right, guys, I'm going to leave that there, but you could go now, use the same story. It could be found in Luke 8:40-46. So Matthew is Matthew 9:18-26. He just gave a quick synopsis of the whole thing. Matthew 9:18-26. You can find the story in Mark 5:21-43. Mark 5:21-43. Luke 8:40-56. Luke 8:40-56 is all in the same story. Read them through and see what the different perspectives these guys give on the same story. You get a better understanding of it. And do it with all the stories so you can understand them better. Don't just look at one, because one is not going to give you everything that you need to know about that story. All right, guys? So thank all you guys for joining in, man. I appreciate it. And as I get some word and I can drop some knowledge, I will share it with you guys. Have a great, great day. All right. Goodbye.